Keep your hands off my radio. You're just the hired help.
What languages do you need? Ni hao, Mr. Tanaka.
Hi, Tanaka-san.
Elizabeth Harrington's high-stakes conference call was unraveling faster than she could handle. Seated in the back of her sleek black Lincoln Town car, crawling through the morning rush-hour traffic of downtown Chicago, she clutched her phone like a lifeline. The merger deal with the Tanaka Patel Group was on the brink of Calypsino interpreters available, and the international team was already en route to O'Hare Airport. A billion-dollar lifeline for Harrington Industries was slipping away, and with it, the future of her company. But what Elizabeth didn't know was that her salvation was sitting right in front of her, behind the wheel, enduring her sharp tongue in silence. Marcus Thompson, her driver for the past 3 years, adjusted the rearview mirror slightly, trying to focus on the road amid the blaring horns and the faint hum of the car's radio. He reached over to turn down the volume, hoping to give her some quiet. Elizabeth's head whipped around, her eyes narrowing in irritation. "Keep your filthy paws off my radio," she snapped, her voice laced with venom that cut through the air like a knife. Marcus froze, his hand hovering in midair. "You think just because you chauffeur me around in this luxury sedan, you can mess with my stuff?" she continued, her tone dripping with disdain. "You're the hired help. Stick to driving and stay out of my business." Marcus's jaw tightened, but he kept his gaze fixed on the congested streets ahead, the skyscrapers of the loop looming like silent judges. As a matter of fact, raise the partition. "I'm sick of looking at your face in the mirror." The tinted glass slid up with a soft whir, sealing her off in her isolated world. Elizabeth turned back to her frantic calls, oblivious to the storm brewing on the other side. In the driver's seat, Marcus gripped the steering wheel tighter, his knuckles paling against his dark skin. He wasn't just any driver. A graduate of Yale with a double major in international affairs and linguistics, he mastered 7 languages during his time at Princeton's graduate program. For over 2 decades, he'd served as a senior diplomatic interpreter for the U.S. Department of State, navigating tense summits and trade talks. But life had a way of humbling even the most accomplished. Budget cuts had axed his position, and with mounting bills for his father's heart treatments and his son's engineering tuition at MIT, he'd taken whatever job he could find. Now, here he was, invisible once more. What Elizabeth didn't realize was that her hired help was about to become her company's guardian angel. The partition did little to muffle the escalating panic from the back seat. Elizabeth paced as much as the confined space allowed, her designer heels clicking against the floor mats. "What do you mean all the translation agencies are fully booked?" she barked into her phone, her perfectly coiffed blonde hair starting to frizz under the stress. Mascara streaks began to form under her blue eyes as she wiped away frustrated tears. "This is a $1.5 billion merger, for God's sake. I don't care if it costs a fortune. Find someone who can handle Mandarin and Japanese right now." She was yelling now, her voice echoing in the enclosed space. The Tanaka Patel executives land in under 2 hours. Marcus glanced at the rearview camera feed, watching her unravel. He'd overheard enough executive chatter over the years to know the stakes. Harrington Industries, a mid-sized tech firm specializing in AI-driven logistics software, was teetering on the edge of insolvency. 6 months of declining revenues, failed product launches, and a brutal market downturn had left them vulnerable. This merger wasn't just growth, it was survival. 300 jobs depended on it, including his own. As Elizabeth's calls hit one dead end after another, Marcus made his decision. He pressed the button to lower the partition. "Excuse me, Miss Harrington," he said calmly, his deep voice steady despite the tension. Elizabeth's head snapped toward him, fury etching lines on her face. "I told you to. What languages do you need?" he interrupted gently, his tone professional and unyielding. The question hung in the air, stunning her into silence. Her mouth opened and closed like a fish out of water. "I'm sorry, what?" "For your merger meeting," Marcus clarified. "What languages are required?" Elizabeth blinked, her mind racing to process this intrusion. "That's none of your damn business." "Mandarin and Japanese," Marcus continued, undeterred. "Perhaps Hindi as well, given the Patel side. Korean for any Seoul-based partners." Something in his confident delivery made her pause. This wasn't the deferential murmur she was used to from him. You speak those?" Marcus nodded once. "Fluently, along with French, German, Spanish, Arabic, Portuguese, and Russian. That's 9 in total. The car interior went deathly quiet. Elizabeth's phone slipped from her fingers, clattering to the floor. Her world spun as she stared at him. You're telling me you speak 9 languages? Would you like a demonstration? Before she could respond, her phone rang again. The caller ID flashed, Tanaka Patel Holdings. Her stomach plummeted. I can't answer without help, she whispered, more to herself than to him. May I? Marcus extended his hand through the partition opening. Pride battled desperation in her chest. The phone kept ringing. Finally, she handed it over. And I how, Mr. Tanaka, Marcus answered in flawless Mandarin, his posture shifting to one of assured authority. The deferential driver was gone. In his place was a seasoned diplomat. The voice on the other end responded in rapid Japanese, and Marcus switched seamlessly. Hi, Tanaka-san. Harrington-san wa masugu tsukamasu. Elizabeth watched in the mirror as he navigated the conversation with ease, discussing patent transfers, market shares, and supply chain integrations terms she'd spent years mastering, now flowing from his lips in languages she barely understood. 20 minutes later, he handed the phone back. They're eager to proceed with the in-person meeting. The deal is back on track. Elizabeth stared at him, her mind reeling. Who are you? Marcus pulled into the underground garage of Harrington Tower, the company's headquarters in the heart of Chicago's financial district. Someone who took this job out of necessity 3 years ago, he said quietly, and someone who believes in giving people a fair shot. As the engine shut off, the silence was heavy. Marcus, she said, using his name for what felt like the first time. Tell me everything. He met her eyes in the mirror. Masters in linguistics from Princeton, PhD in global diplomacy from Yale. 25 years with the State Department, specializing in multilateral negotiations. G20 summits, trade pacts with the EU, crisis talks in the Middle East. Each revelation hit her like a punch. She'd been paying a former high-level diplomat minimum wage to ferry her to board meetings and lunch dates. Your father's health issues, she recalled suddenly, piecing together snippets from overheard calls. Heart surgery bills. Your son's college fund. Marcus nodded. Congestive heart failure for Dad. Engineering at MIT for my boy, Alex. I applied to hundreds of positions in my field overqualified. Too seasoned, they said. So I drove. Whatever it took to keep the lights on. Elizabeth's hands shook. Why didn't you say something sooner? His laugh was soft, without malice. Would you have heard me? The truth stung. Her phone buzzed a text from her assistant. Tanaka team early, waiting in lobby. They're here, she murmured. Marcus was already out of the car, opening her door with the same impeccable courtesy he'd always shown. But now, she saw him differently. Will you help me close this deal? He adjusted his uniform jacket. Let's go save Harrington Industries, Ms. Harrington. The elevator ride to the executive suite was tense. Elizabeth stared at the floor numbers climbing, her thoughts a whirlwind. Yale PhD, Princeton Masters, State Department veteran. She'd treated him like furniture for 3 years. Marcus, she said softly, tell me about your time overseas. The elevator hummed. Posted in Beijing from 1995 to 2000. Helped broker tech transfer agreements that shaped U.S.-China relations. Then Berlin, negotiating EU data privacy standards that our industry still relies on today. Elizabeth's breath caught. Those standards had saved Harrington millions in compliance costs. After that, Geneva for UN trade forums, then back to D.C. for presidential briefings. Marcus paused. I interpreted for 4 secretaries of state too, from each party. The doors opened on the 45th floor. What changed? Government shutdown in 2021. Foreign service cuts. Experience didn't matter against budget lines. His voice held no bitterness, just resolve. Dad's medical bills piled up. Alex's tuition deadline loomed. Pride doesn't cover deductibles. They stepped out into the bustling hallway. Elizabeth felt nauseous. So you just drove? I did what I had to. For 3 years. Outside the conference room, the weight of her past actions pressed down. Marcus, why didn't you push back? Demand better? He smiled faintly. Ms. Harrington, I've dealt with world leaders and tyrants. But nothing's harder than changing a mind that's already made up about you. His words landed like a slap. Every day, I told myself it was temporary. Every slight, every dismissal, every time you barked orders like I was invisible, I held on. waiting for a moment like this. Elizabeth's throat tightened. And now, you need what I bring to the table. Let's focus on that. The executive floor was in chaos. Her assistant, Laura, rushed over, face ashen. Elizabeth, the Tanaka advance team, is in room B. They're grilling us on protocol, and no one's got answers. It's under control, Elizabeth said, her voice steadier than she felt. Laura, this is Marcus Thompson, our lead interpreter consultant. Laura's eyes darted to his driver's uniform, confusion evident. Interpreter? Marcus holds a Yale PhD and speaks 9 languages. Elizabeth shot back. Any issues? Laura paled. One thing might want to change before meeting them. Elizabeth nodded, seeing the uniform anew. Laura, take him to the executive wardrobe downstairs. Charcoal suit, subtle tie. We have 15 minutes. As they headed off, Elizabeth caught Marcus's sleeve. You ready for this? Ms. Harrington, I've mediated arms treaties. A business deal? Piece of cake. 15 minutes later, Marcus returned, transformed. The suit accentuated his tall frame, exuding quiet command. How's this? Elizabeth was speechless. This was no driver, this was a leader. In conference room B, the advanced team 2 Japanese executives and their aide stood as they entered. Marcus bowed precisely, speaking in impeccable Japanese. The lead executive's face lit up, responding with enthusiasm. What did you say? Elizabeth whispered. That Harrington Industries values their partnership and appreciates their patience with our preparations. The session flowed in multiple languages. Marcus translated specs effortlessly, adding cultural insights. When concerns arose about data sharing, he explained, in Japanese culture, this is about trust across generations, not just clauses. The room warmed, formality giving way to rapport. During a break, the lead executive spoke directly to Marcus in Japanese. He wants to confirm gift protocols for the main meeting, Marcus translated. To avoid any faux pas. Elizabeth's stomach dropped. What protocols? Marcus handled it, noting details. We need thoughtful gift symbolic, not lavish. As the team left, the executive shook Marcus's hand warmly. He said, at last, a company that gets respect right. Elizabeth felt a mix of elation and regret. Marcus, about this morning. Ms. Harrington, he cut in kindly. We have 18 hours to prep for the biggest pitch of your life. Apologies later. He was right, but the guilt gnawed at her. What next? Study their backgrounds, revise contracts for tone. And those gifts, I have suggestions. Elizabeth called an urgent board meeting. The room filled with Harrington's top brass, faces etched with worry. Meet Marcus Thompson, our interpreter lead, she announced. VP of Operations, Richard Ellis, frowned. Where's the pro firm we contracted? Unavailable. Marcus's creds, Yale PhD, Princeton Masters, 25 years State Department. Silence. Then Ellis pushed. Where'd you find him? He's been here 3 years. In logistics. Logistics? Ellis scoffed. This is a billion-dollar play. We need polish, not some internal guy. Marcus sat serene. Mr. Ellis, concerns about protocols? Ellis shifted. Etiquette, gifts, hierarchies, the nuances. Marcus nodded. For Tanaka, bow at 15 degrees for seniors. Seating by company founding year. Gifts honoring their post-war rebuild ethos. The room went quiet. Patel side prefers straightforward talks, no frills. Balance without offending. Ellis gaped. How do you know? I drafted the 2018 U.S.-Japan Tech Accords and resolved the Patel-EU banking snag in 2019. The board's skepticism crumbled. Questions flew, but now with respect though a subtle distance lingered. After, Ellis cornered her. 3 years where exactly? Learning our business while we ignored his potential. That night, Marcus worked late in an empty office, surrounded by files and research. Elizabeth found him at 10 p.m., go home, rest. Almost done, reviewing AI patents again. His prep was meticulous, dossiers on each executive, protocol checklists, contingency plans. Marcus, this is exhaustive. In diplomacy, prep averts disaster. He pulled a file. Did you know Mr. Tanaka's grandfather survived Nagasaki and rebuilt their firm from ashes? That's why legacy matters to him. She shook her head. Ms. Patel lost a venture to a translation error in Delhi courts. She's vigilant on precision. How'd you uncover this? 8 hours of deep dives your usual translators skipped. His phone rung an urgent call from their Delhi office. Data breach alert. Director speaks only Hindi. Elizabeth's heart sank. We can't have complications now. Marcus answered in Hindi, mediating for half an hour. Handled. Competitor hack attempt thwarted. You just fixed that? Ms. Harrington, your firm's leaked value through comms gaps for years. He showed a binder of documented issues. Lost deals from cultural gaffes, like using casual Mandarin with elders. Why not speak up? Would it have landed? Her phone rang German number. Marcus took it. Guten Tag, Herr Schmidt. 10 minutes of fluent German later. Your Munich partners want back in. Heard about the merger, regret pulling out. That was $50 million, she whispered. Still is. Call next week. Elizabeth collapsed into a chair. How many chances squandered? Focus forward. He handed her a briefing. All you need for tomorrow. As he packed up. Marcus, who are you truly? Someone betting on redemption for firms and folks. Elizabeth couldn't sleep. At 1 a.m., she researched Marcus Thompson. Awards, commendations, photos with dignitaries. Her driver had influenced global policy. Next morning, she convened the board pre-meeting. Addressing doubts about Marcus. She projected docs, state citations for averting trade crises, lead on Asia-Pacific pacts. Ella squirmed. CFO Linda Chin paled. Marketing head Tom Walsh stared. For 3 years, we've had a diplomatic powerhouse driving me to meetings. Today he saves us. She unveiled a memo. Promoting Marcus to VP of International Affairs. $200,000 salary, equity. New division, cultural strategy, $3 million budget. No objections. Marcus entered in a sharp gray suit. Ladies, gentlemen, thank you. Apologies followed. I was blind, Ellis admitted. Now, Elizabeth said, let's seal this. The elevator to the summit felt charged. Elizabeth and Marcus side by side. Marcus, if this flops, we're bankrupt in months. For 100 jobs gone. He nodded. How long have you shouldered this? Years. Lying to stakeholders, scraping by. A pause. Why help me after my cruelty? Let me tell you about my son, Alex. 3rd year at MIT, aerospace focus. Wants to design sustainable aircraft because he saw his grandfather fight for breath. The doors neared the top. Last month, Alex called, distraught considering dropping out over costs. I said I'd handle it, pretending consulting gigs covered it. Elizabeth's eyes welled. Yesterday, I had an interview warehouse supervisor, $30,000. Was ready to take it, tell Alex to defer dreams. But then, you needed me. Doors opened. When we win this, call your son. Tell him his path's clear. Marcus's eyes shone. It's about proving talent's universal, not titled. They shook hands. Teammates. The Tanaka Patel delegation awaited in the grand boardroom. City views framing the table. Mr. Kenji Tanaka, 75, emanated gravitas. Ms. Anika Patel, precise and astute, reviewed notes. CTO Dr. Wei Lin scanned docs. Marcus bowed to Tanaka, speaking Japanese. Warmth ensued. The first hour, smooth translations, nuanced diplomacy. Then crisis, Patel halted. Our Delhi team reports weak IP safeguards. We can't risk it. Room froze. Elizabeth panicked. Marcus, specific issues? Algorithm access breaches, rival infiltration. Ms. Patel, that's resolved. I coordinated with your director last night. Patel stared. You? In Hindi. Breach foiled, systems stronger than assumed. A call confirmed. Patel nodded, impressed. Tanaka voiced compatibility worries. Does Harrington grasp enduring alliances? Marcus responded in Japanese, sharing a tale of U.S.-Japan post-war collaborations, tying to Tanaka's heritage. Tanaka softened. My grandfather would approve. Final hurdle. Lin spotted patent overlap in Mandarin. This invites lawsuits. Marcus analyzed, explained in Mandarin. Open source base, distinct architecture. Lin smiled. You know tech better than my engineers. 3 hours later, we agree to the $1.5 billion partnership. Applause. But Tanaka stood. Credit to Mr. Thompson's mastery. He bowed deeply. Patel offered consulting. Lin a roll. Tanaka gifted an heirloom pen case. My grandfather's, for rebuilding spirits. Marcus accepted emotionally. As they left, personal contacts exchanged. Back in the room, Ellis. Marcus, you saved us all. Promotions, Elizabeth up to EVP, $300,000. Major shares, $10 million division. Marcus, teary, called Alex. Son, school's funded. Dad's EVP now. Joy overflowed. 6 months on, Marcus's office buzzed with global links. Division secured $500 million deals. The Thompson Foundation aided overlooked talent, inspiring firms nationwide. Elizabeth hired a former cleaner with a JD as legal chief. News spread. Harrington's model spotting hidden gems. Marcus fielded calls. Our mechanic fixed a quantum Buzz ex-NASA. By dusk, hundreds applied. Elizabeth joined him. Regrets about that car moment? None. It led here. As a documentary crew filmed, Marcus addressed, right now, your barista might hold a physics degree. Your janitor, an MBA. Ask their stories. Act on them. Elizabeth, change starts with seeing people fully. Talent thrives anywhere character defines worth. What do you think about the injustices and prejudices in this story? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Have you witnessed or experienced similar biases in the workplace or daily life? Take a stand. How can we combat systemic unfairness and ensure everyone gets a fair chance? Let's discuss and build a better dialogue.